How's everybody doing? Okay, today we are going to do uh, compatibility of signs. Well, actually, incompatibility of signs, which is Taurus and Libra, cardinal air and fixed earth. The reason why I almost made a Freudian slip and said that it was compatibility is because both Venus and Taurus are ruled by the same planet. Venus, Aphrodite, the goddess of God, of love and beauty and money. So, how do these two combinations work? But before we do, I'd like to introduce you, Angie, that may want to say a thing or two about the Mary Kay products that we are trying to sell online through the Lindstedt family. Angie, you want to say hello?
Yes.
If I can just shift over. Okay, wait, hold on. Here we go. Did I do that? There you go.
There we go. We're good.
Okay.
So I would say Mary Kay, awesome makeup remover. As you guys can see, I
Yeah, you can
hope
see me.
you can see my skin. You know, no makeup, just a remover. The product is awesome. I recommend it 100%.
Okay, thank you very much. Alrighty. So, okay, so now here we go. Okay, here we go. Alright, so now we are going to go with, again, discussing this combination concerning its participation in nature. The way we perceive this combination in nature. Where do we find this combination in nature? Well, understand that because Venus is the principal ruler of both Libra and Taurus, Venus is associated with beauty, and it's associated with the finer things in life, money, the actual physical beauty of nature, and other complexities of nature. All of this is symbolized by Venus, which rules both Taurus and Libra. However, um, planets that rule two signs have a binary function. For example, you have a Mercury. Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. So therefore, Mercury and Virgo have what's called a binary function. Okay, Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So that means that Libra and Taurus have a binary function. Okay, and of course, then you have Saturn, which is the classical co-ruler of Aquarius before Uranus was discovered in 1864, I believe. I forgot. I always get the times confused. When Uranus was discovered, it was attributed as the ruler of Aquarius. But before that happened, Saturn was the ruler of Aquarius and Capricorn, which is why there are similarities between Capricorn and Saturn. And they also have a binary function. The same thing can be said also of Mars. Mars was the ruler of Aries, but it was the classical co-ruler of Scorpio before Pluto was discovered in 1930, which then was attributed to the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio and Aries also share what's called a binary function. So when we're looking at this combination, we have to look at it from that perspective and from a double lens mirror. Okay, and this is important because this is going to define the psychology of the signs, even though we have to term this combination incompatibility of signs. Now understand that they're incompatible, but this is one incompatibility that can actually work because Venus, which is the goddess of love, Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, and money, she's the principal ruler of Taurus. you know. And Taurus has to deal with our personal liberty, which money happens to be a part of that psychology when it comes to human personal liberty. Just ask any psychologist or any psychiatrist, and they'll tell you that even money has a psychological function in our society and in each individual esteem of each individual human being in more ways than most people care to admit. So understand that when we talk about this combination, we need to look at it from that perspective. Okay, Venus is a very passive sign. It's also a very passive aggressive sign. And it is a sign that is not inclined towards aggression or any kind of negative energy or contention. So understand that that in itself becomes a principle that we have to look at when we're dealing with Taurus and Libra. Because neither Taurus nor Libra want to deal with conflict or want to deal with adversity or any unpleasantness of any kind. So you would think that ideally this combination would do very well together because they share in the same pathos and in the same value system. However, nothing can be further from the truth. Understand that even though there is a natural connection and a natural inclination for this combination to grab towards the positive and the path of least resistance, there is a price to pay for taking that path in lieu of a balance that will entail both adversity but also the good times. Because, not everything can be fun and peachy. And that, unfortunately, is what the Libra man or woman want. They want this ideally. And they want that idealism to be expressed in mundane reality. Taurus also is a very gentle, passive sign. Not that much different from Leo, which also loves leisure and loves comfortness and doesn't want any drama. So Taurus and Leo, both fixed signs, share in that. So if there's going to be any kind of contention or any kind of challenge that might actually cause the person to act and react a certain way, then it will have to be because these types of people may have a difficulty in facing certain challenges. And there's always going to be challenges in life. And it's not what happens to us that's important. It's how we respond to what happens to us that's what's important. And with this combination, that has to be the model. Whatever is thrown at you, it's not about fucking with you or about destroying you, but it's about how are you going to respond to what's thrown at you. And that is the test. And this is true of any relationship, whether intimate or interpersonal or business or what have you. You know? Because like it says in the good book, God doesn't give us more than we can bear. So any challenges that are thrown at us, we are capable of transcending and overcoming because God doesn't give us more than we can bear. Otherwise, what would be the point? Right? So having that as a skeletal framework for the basis of psychology for this combination, and not very bad for other combinations to follow suit on, then it's very easy for this combination to overcome anything. Because, when it comes to Taurus, there is no way that you're going to fold under pressure. And Libra doesn't either. And Libra is a cardinal sign. So that doesn't mean that then it doesn't have its bad days. But essentially, as a incompatibility of signs, this combination seems pretty balanced all throughout. Now, let's look at the actual logistics astrologically. When you have air and earth, you have an elemental square, right? You have an elemental square, which automatically lets you know that there's going to be conflict and in some level and in some aspect of the relationship. Air and earth don't mix. Then you have the cardinal aspect and the fixed aspect. So one is going to stay put, and the other one is going to be all over the place for specific reasons, not just random or arbitrary. Which hence is the cardinal, which will be Libra. Libra will be the strategist. Libra will be the one that will execute a plan, even though Taurus is a master at planning. And it is the sign that deals with plan. If you really want to plan, you look to Taurus. Some of the best planners in world history have fallen under Taurus. Even those who have designed the Monticelli's painting and have done all kinds of beautiful sculptures and monuments. Look at it, Google it. No, it falls under Taurus. You know, the beautiful side of nature, the artistic side of nature, which also falls under the domain and expression of Venus. And we see a lot of the Venus symbols in a lot of the medieval and even pre and post Hellenistic art and paintings and sculpture, because that is all part of the Venus energy that is attributed and follows through Taurus. And in literature, art, music, and painting, that expression is Libra. So understand the different functions of Venus creatively and artistically. It's a split of earth and air. So there is a certain level of refinement and beauty and class that defines this combination. So, but this is another complex combination which might require certain adjustments. These adjustments might not occur smoothly, especially if we're dealing with a couple below age 30. If it's above age 30, then there's a more level and process of maturity that probably wasn't there had you had been much younger. So, where do we see this combination in nature? Where do we see Taurus and Libra? Well, one place that comes to mind for me is the place called Madagascar, which I always mess up in my head as a continent or a location. And some of you are my subscriber to me, Fernando, is this, not that. And I know better, you know. And but sometimes I still mess up on it. But that ecosystem in Madagascar, or even in Australia, you see a combination of the Taurus and a combination of Libra. You do. In the earth, you see the Taurus side of beauty, also good and evil. Because good and evil is relative because nature represents both. And no more do you see that in the continent of Australia, where you have some of the most poisonous snakes on the planet, some of the most poisonous frogs on the planet, some of the most poisonous pop are found in Australia. But then there is something about the universality of astrology that's so welcoming, which is the Libra aspect. Because Australia as a continent symbolizes both Taurus and Libra. You have an equal balance of both. Nature is beautiful, but it's deadly. And you see the economy of both. The same thing in Madagascar. So I would say that the Venus and Taurus combination in nature, we see it as the seven wonders of the world, of several isolated pockets of specific topographical beauty that cannot be seen anywhere on our planet, in which the Russian tundra, the savannas, the American Sahara, Australia, and Madagascar seem to be some of those exceptional points and wonders of the world of nature. So that's how we can see and attribute the beauty of this combination through nature. Now, what does it mean specifically? What do you get when the two signs are ruled by Venus, especially when they fall in love? Surely this should be a love match, made in heaven. Oh, so one would think, the idealist and the lover. Are they not heading for a happy or a relationship? Is it that what people will think that is an ideal couple and that it should be all rainbows and rose-colored roses? That probably may be true, but isn't that how the story always exits? You know, or I mean, always ends. You know, you just never really know. No? Well, I mean, for Libra and for Taurus, let me tell you, compatibility can be instant and the attraction can be overwhelming. You okay? Yeah. Okay? The attraction can be overwhelming. But is this a relationship which can last or is it built on castles in the air? Because, see, that's the thing. There is a side of Libra and a side of Taurus that can be extremely idealistic and not based on reality. And so, is this the combinations that's going to have firmly grounded values from the ground up, or are they going to build castles in the air? And that process, though, may actually occur if you are below age 30. But by the time you're past age 30, there should be certain mechanisms that should be put in place that defines the reality of the situation that you're in. And you should be able to determine whether you are building castles in the air or if you're building castles on solid ground. And that is where this combination has to be very careful. What is the basis of the attraction that brought them together? And when the honeymoon phase is over, is that going to be enough to keep them together? That is the unanswered questions that we don't get. That, through the process of experience, you have to be able to understand what is the situation at play. Okay? So, understand that there's a strong magnetism between Libra and Taurus, founded mainly by their shared ruling planet Venus. No, but understand that the emotional complexities and even expression of Venus is not an outward emotion like the moon. The emotion symbolizes the emotion, and they are emotions that are expressed outward. The emotions of Venus are not expressed outward, they are internal. So the Taurus man or the Taurus woman are not known for being expert communicators, and they certainly don't discuss their feelings, not in a way that can lead to an understanding of who they are. This is why Taurus can sometimes appear aloof or misunderstood. They don't really articulate and put into word what's really going on with them internally. And that is part of the Venus function. The same thing with Libra. Libra can also be emotionally very subjective, but is she supposed to be? Because the planet Venus is a subjective planet. It is a passive planet. It is not an active planet, even though it rules a cardinal sign. This aspect of Venus is quite passive and quite laid back and tends to make changes and influences on the low key than be openly upfront about it. And this is more of the expression of an opposite polarity, which is Aries, which is more, the expressive Martian energy outward into the personality. Libra retreats from that. It is the polar opposite. And Venus represents that principle of passive resistance and not forward combative action, which the Libra polarity of Aries expresses. So when you have Taurus and Libra together, this is a combination that over time they can get on each other's nerves because the idiosyncrasies and the little things that defines any relationship that can get on each other's nerves will eventually reach a halt or a peak in which they cannot be ignored anymore. This combination has to be very realistic about the expectations that they have of each other and what they're bringing to the table and what they're not bringing to the table, and also discuss it openly and develop a plan to either move towards that goal or terminate their relationship if they're not in the same page concerning the values that they share or don't share or they need to develop in order to make this relationship of earth and air, cardinal air, work. Because eventually, the one that will leave the relationship first will be Libra, as Libra will seek a change. Again, Libra is a cardinal sign. So Libra is not going to stay in a stagnant relationship for long. But Taurus would. No? So it will be the cardinality of Libra to change things or stir things up. Now, that's one way of looking at it. Okay? The strong magnetism is not going to be enough to sustain the relationship in the long run. For the relationship to jump off and a good start, there has to be a mutual love and interest of both art, music, good food, the finer things in life. And they both adore, or should adore, and I think they do, the old fashioned way of relating with people, not through texting and using the technology of the phone, but actually doing things that are more that shows that you care, that shows that you put time and energy, that it wasn't just a click of the button, and that you were able to just fashion out a day. You know, Libra and Taurus are going to require that you put more time, more energy, more effort, more consideration, and the courtship. No, this is very important to Libra. The Libra woman wants a man to shower her with roses and flowers, and maybe not shower her, but periodically leave little notes saying that I love you or that I'm thinking about you. Have some little boxes of chocolates, or have a nice little like card with her perfume on it, and maybe her lipstick, smack in the middle of it in red, or maybe a kiki card with the smack lip right on the penis or something to let you know that she's thinking about you. The Libra woman can pull a man's pants down just as finely as a man can pull a woman's panties down. She is a romantic. That's the masculine aspect of Libra. She don't have a problem seducing the man and going after him. You see? So, um, I mean, it's wonderful. You know, the Taurus man will also go to the same lengths. He will look. He will courtship a woman down until she says yes. He'll give her flowers, roses. He will shower her. I mean, oh my God, the finer things that the earth has to offer, the Taurus man will see to it until he wears the bitch down, and he got her. The same thing with the Taurus woman, but she's the cougar. So she might actually take one of the young boys to her lair, and then that boy becomes a man overnight. So there's a lot of these are all functions of Venus. It's luscious, delicious, sultry, classy, refined, gentle, and a little bit passive, but absolutely beautiful. Where just silent beauty opens all the doors. All the doors. This is the cardinality of Libra, which stands on its own. Libra can and makes anything happen without her having to do anything or say a word. That's fucking very powerful. This is the cardinality expression of Libra through the rays of Venus. The way it expresses itself, the same rays of the same life wave of that energy of that planet of Venus comes across differently through Taurus than it does through Libra. To Taurus, it comes through physical body and physical beauty. No, it's the expression of Earth to the physical beauty of the human body, the human form, and the sexual energy that comes with it. Remember, the opposite polarity of Taurus is Scorpio. So there's a lot of sensuality and sexual potency in the energy of Taurus, which can keep any woman saturated. Or the same thing with a Taurus woman. So there's a lot of confidence and energy for this combination to withstand anything that it comes at it. It is cardinal air, the power of the intelligence with the strength of earth. There isn't anything that can destroy this relationship or break it apart. If we're dealing with a couple, man or woman, past the age of 30. It's another thing if we're dealing with a combination of this, or a couple of this combination before the age of 30. Again, like I mentioned in my other videos, there's a transmutation process that has to occur for these transformative energies as they relate to human ego and personality to take forward and take form. That's important. And it's very, and I just got like a YouTube message from a psychologist and a psychiatrist, love their work, but understand that the astrological template comes from a totally different frame of reference than the sciences. And I've gone over about 14 seconds. We're done with part one.